They told you XRP would never break into the big leagues. But what if I told you there's a credible path to $10,000 per XRP? And it's not fantasy. It's math, policy, and infrastructure converging. This is not financial advice. You're about to hear insider threads, fresh tweets, and bold formulas no one else is stringing together. Stay locked in, because halfway through, you'll see a pivot nobody saw coming. And at the end, you'll feel like you have a map to a new financial frontier. First, why $10,000? It sounds outrageous. But when you stack XRP's supply limits, network utility, institutional flows, tokenized assets, and regulatory regime shifts, all of it, $10,000 becomes defensible. I'll show you how. Let's begin with a brutal truth few will tell you. Markets are narrative engines. The crypto that owns its narrative and builds real infrastructure wins. XRP is positioning itself to own liquidity, settlement, and tokenization in regulated finance. That's not hype. That's what's happening right now. Just today, a wave of anticipation is flooding X, Twitter. One post in the XRP community shouted, XRP ETF approval in 3 weeks could push it to $5-7 instantly. The more eyes that see that, the more money flows in pre-positioning. That's momentum. And don't sleep on the timing. Regulatory signals are aligning. But don't let that distract you, because what if the first ETF approval is only the fuse? I'll walk you through 3 hidden phases of this rally. Phase 1, the narrative reset. XRP is legal, regulated, powerful. That's happening now with court wins, dropped appeals, and clearer SEC posture. Phase 2, reserves, tokenized debt, and institutional adoption. Phase 3, hyperscale utility, where every major financial system leans on XRP rails. That's your $10,000 storm. Now, here's the spicy part. A well-known XRP analyst recently flagged that 160 million XRP were moved from whale wallets over the past 2 weeks. That kind of shift tends to foreshadow big moves. Combine that with the fact Ripple just acquired a prime brokerage firm with plans to migrate post-trade operations into the XRP ledger. They aren't waiting to catch up, they're leaning in. Let me break the mechanics down simply. XRP's fixed supply gives it leverage. You can't infinitely dilute this thing, loot. Its transaction speed and cost make it ideal as a settlement medium in real finance. As institutions and sovereigns begin tokenizing real assets, bonds, debt, derivatives, the pressure increases to align with a high-throughput, regulated ledger. That's XRP's pitch. When you feed in institutional liquidity plus tokenized real-world assets, you turn this from a crypto speculation into a foundational financial building block. What if just 1% of global debt markets decided to run liquidity through XRP rails? That's trillions in flows. Do the math. That kind of volume scaled across years pushes per unit valuations into exotic territory. Still, the biggest question I know you're thinking, isn't that absurd? Isn't a 10K price absurd given where we are now? Absolutely normal to doubt. And that's why Phase 2 matters. The transition from speculative to structural adoption is when skeptics convert, when corporate treasuries, regional banks, and even central banks begin referencing XRP as a settlement layer. People will stop calling it a crypto play and start calling it a finance infrastructure. Before I let you drift, a quick what-if scenario. What if the SEC doesn't just approve one XRP ETF, but designates XRP as a strategic reserve asset for the US or even globally? Imagine XRP in sovereign balance sheets. That's a feedback loop of legitimacy, demand, and scarcity. That's how you move beyond 5-figure dreams into actual possibility. Now, I want to tackle the haters. The skeptics who say, what if regulators crush it again? Or, 1,000 coins are competing. Why would XRP win? To skeptics, I say, ignore the noise and watch the execution. The legal overhang that destroyed XRP's upside is being dismantled. Ripple has dropped its cross-appeal, signaling finality. Regulatory risk is receding, and XRP's infrastructure is advancing, faster than most realize. You might still worry, What if this bubble bursts? That's fair. Every market has cycles. But this isn't a bubble, it's a structural shift. As long as adoption, narrative, and regulatory clarity keep marching forward, corrections become opportunities, not killer blows. So here's your takeaway. $10,000 per XRP isn't a meme, it's the projection of real variables, flows, use cases, institutional backing, tokenized assets, legal certainty, stacked. If you see even a fraction of those parts come together, you're in an early phase of something that historically only happens once per cycle. To recap, we started with bold prediction, $10,000. We walked through narrative dominance, whale moves, infrastructure acquisitions, legal clarity, and institutional adoption. We addressed the skeptical objections and built to a climactic vision of sovereign reserve status and tokenized finance riding XRP rails. If all this blew your mind, smash that like button. Drop in the comments. What's your personal price target for XRP? Subscribe for more alpha you literally won't see anywhere else. Share this with the community, because the more minds thinking together, the stronger our narrative. Let's get XRP to the moon and beyond.